Hello and welcome back then to Jerez, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a very, very busy morning here already at the Jerez test, the first in-season test of the 2024 season, and it is a vital one, not only for manufacturers like Honda and Yamaha, but also for the rest of the manufacturers as well. And it has been busy up and down pit lane for every manufacturer and every rider, that is for sure. Jack Gorst here, alongside me as ever is Simon Crafar, our technical genius, spotted all the new parts down in pit lane, and really it's been a busy morning, particularly for two manufacturers, Honda and Yamaha, as we do say, the ones that need to try and find a step more than the rest. And we've already seen plenty of action.
Yes, and they can, with the concessions this year, they aren't so much, meaning the aero engines, things that the others can't, during the season. So I imagine we're about to ask someone how hard, they're trying and what they can change, what they're going to change. But I think that it is most important for the Japanese manufacturers, but we can see a lot are trying new things.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it goes as we go throughout this live. We'll tell you everything that's going on. But firstly, as we do say, we're right down the bottom end of pit lane, and that means we're outside the Yamaha garage. So we can bring in team manager for Yamaha, Monster NG MotoGP, Mayo Meregalli. Mayo, thank you for joining us. Appreciate you taking the time because, as we've seen in the garage, it's been a busy day today. Very busy too.
Yeah, I missed part of the question, but actually, we have a lot of items to test, but we had to prioritize because luckily in 1 week we will have, after Le Mans we will have 2 more test days in Mugello where we will be able to test what we won't be able to do here. But anyway, as I said, we had to prioritize, and the 2 biggest things that needed to be tested and evaluated are the aero package, the one that we would like to homologate as soon as possible based on the feeling of the rider, and then different chassis that we tried to evaluate last week in cold and wet, so we are going to evaluate this new item here.
Mayo, thanks for being so straight up with us, because we can obviously see the aero package, but we also spotted the frame around the steering head different. And you've had some terrible luck testing. Portimao, I was there that following days after the race, and you got bad weather, and then again in Mugello. But how is it going so far with the new items? We're halfway through the day.
Yeah, it's a bit early to say and to judge because actually one rider started testing one item, the other one. As much as information as possible, and it's better to wait. In my opinion, at the end of the day, but also after they will check all the data, they will compare both items. We will do a back-to-back, because once you get used, then maybe you need a back-to-back to understand if the way or the feeling was correct. But so far, I think some good information are coming.
Okay. And I've got another question for you, something we can't see and it's pretty hard to hear. Engine, you've got a Massimo Bartolini. Is he working away in the background, and when are you hoping updates from the engine?
Working on the engine, but since we have the freedom to update the engine during the season, so far we seal 3 engines basically the same, and I don't know exactly when we will seal the first updated engine, because the plan was to try to bring 2 steps during the season, but that is always the target that at the beginning we have, and but then it's not always easy to achieve the goal.
Takes some time, as I imagine. Back to you, Jack.
Maya, just one last question. Obviously, this weekend was a very up and down weekend, an incredible podium in the sprint for Fabio, but then Sunday was much difficult. Just for the fans at home, what's the biggest thing? What's the biggest thing that is holding Yamaha back at the moment?
Could you?
What's the biggest thing that is holding Yamaha back at the moment?
There is not a big, let's say, bug in the bike. The Max that since he joined, he start saying this. There are different areas that where we need to improve, to step up. Saturday, in my opinion, we had some luck, or some they had bad luck and they crash, and for sure you need to be ready to catch it. In the best way possible this possibility, but already also because he had a fantastic start. You know, when you start from the 23rd position, it's very difficult, and yesterday he had let's say a normal start, and then the conditions were different compared Saturday. We suffer more lack of grip, then that caused the bike become very heavy in the changing direction. So for them it has been yeah, a really tough race, especially also because we had difficult qualifying on the wet. So let's say that the race really got complicated Saturday morning.
Well, Mayo, we know it's lunchtime, and thank you very much for your time. So, we'll let you go back to work. Thank you very much, Mayo. Thank you.
Thanks for your time.
So, Mayo Meregalli there. Unfortunately, his team have actually just locked him out of the carriage because they put the carriage doors down, so we might have to send him an apology in just a second. But interesting to hear from Mayo there. Really open, as you said, and picked up on. Yamaha are working on updates. They are coming, and hopefully that engine does come soon, because that does seem to be a real big piece of why they're maybe struggling a bit more than they should.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, we all know how serious Yamaha is. They've got two fantastic riders, a really good professional team, and new engineers.
Yeah.
They're going to come back, but I think Aleix Espargaro put it the best in a debrief on the weekend. He said, when you bring in new engineers, it takes a good 12 months to see what they have done, the changes, you know, by the time they figure something out, drawing board, you know, test, manufacture it, test it, and then it get to the racetrack. And to really see the difference, I agree with him. It's going to be 12 months, which is beginning of next season. Of course, they're going to make steps this year. They'll make little improvements, but I think the big step will be next year.
Well, speaking of seeing the difference, you can visually see the difference with the new aero they've brought today. The front wings are kind of similar to, well, they're pretty much the same ethos of what they have, but instead of two elements now, it's kind of a three-element wing. And then those side fairings now, they're very KTM-like, aren't they? They've got that channel running down the top of the side fairing there, from it extending back from the side pod, and then they have the downwash duct there too.
I would say the most exciting thing we've seen today would be the aero on the Yamaha. It'll be on the social media channels and now. It's very similar to KTM and Ducati.
Yeah.
You know, I would say the most similar. But to be fair, it was Aprilia that invented those belly pans, the ground effects belly pans, and that's clearly what it is. We've just passed the Marquez, well, all the Ducati garages are mostly closed. So we'll just have a quick run through there, what's happening. And that is Ducati factory. I can't see anything on the bike. They're obviously just fine-tuning things. You know, I know they're working on that chatter problem that they've had. Which KTM are also working on. Mm-hmm. Jack mentioned last night in his debrief that they had chatter again, and they're going to experiment with things to try and get rid of that. But I went and had a talk to Pablo Nieto, and so the VR46 garage have been given some things from Ducati to test to take the load off them.
Right, okay.
And he wouldn't tell me what, but it was an aero, and I kind of whittled it down to its chassis electronic stuff that they're doing for Ducati factory. Mark apparently is trying very different setup, like, you know, relatively new to that bike. He's experimenting areas that they thought could work and can't do it in a race weekend. Moving along, as Fabio heads out, he's been a busy boy actually. who we got next? Garage doors coming up.
We've
We got Jorge Martin.
Yeah, well, Jorge actually, bit of a blip in the plan today. His engine sounded like it went bang on the front straight, didn't it?
Definitely did.
So he's down to one bike and spent a good 45 minutes to an hour sat in the pit box while they were sorting out his second bike, ready to go to get his run plan. So certainly not the ideal test day for Jorge Martin, but thankfully he's in pretty good shape anyway and doesn't have too many things that he needs to drastically improve. So for Jorge, it's kind of, even though it's very frustrating, it's certainly not the end of the world.
I had a chat to him earlier. He was sitting right where he is now, and he was. They were working on the bike, so he said, "G'day." I went and had a little chat to him. He said that they've got a lot to go through today, experimenting, and he said they're working hard. And he didn't give me an idea what they're working on, but I saw them moving forks around it, obviously doing different settings. It's still working in that area now. So, experimenting. I bet he wants to know why he lost the front and wants to find a setting that won't happen again.
Absolutely. And even on the other side of the garage as well with Frankie Morbidelli, they will be experimenting. Frankie said last night in his interview that it was time to just find his setup, because of course this is his first test day on the Ducati. He missed all the pre-season testing after that crash in Portimao and the concussion injury issues that followed. So thankfully for Frankie, now he's finally got a test day, and before we started this live at least, he was second on the timesheet. So certainly the fast laps are getting there, and now hopefully the pace will be coming too once he gets really comfortable on that Ducati.
Yeah, you've got to admit Frankie's times really are getting close now.
Yeah.
So I think a matter of time before he qualifies well enough to give himself a shot, at that podium, because he had the pace, like it was good during the race, but starting from so far back makes it hard.
Absolutely. So I think we'll slowly move our way down from Pramac Racing.
We can let Geordie, the cameraman...
He's just getting the B-roll.
That's no problem, but we can mention some of the others while we're here.
The next
KTM?
Yeah, the next manufacturer up is KTM and GasGas, the Pyramid Mobility Group bikes. Visually, Simon, not too much going on. I thought maybe we'd see some of the different parts that Pedrosa had on the factory bikes, but I haven't seen any yet. I don't know about you.
An aero package, yes. On two machines that I've spotted on so far. I imagine everyone's going to get to try it. Was on Pedro Acosta's bike and Brad Binder's bike.
Oh, yeah?
An updated aero. Disappointingly, Pedro went out on the first lap and the belly pan came off. So
I did see that.
Yeah, and that was a new one. So I imagine something wasn't quite right, but Brad got to do a proper run on it, and it's basically the downdraft thing being a lot longer on the belly pan, and just an updated sort of. Anyway, there'll be some photos out there on our social media platforms. I've got some photos to share with them. And otherwise, I agree. I couldn't see anything different visibly on the KTM.
I think the only thing I've seen is Brad's running slightly different forks, isn't he? He's got the kind of small extenders on the top of the WP suspension. But I believe that's been a thing of his for some time.
That. Last year even.
Exactly. Yeah, I know he ran some really tall ones in Austin, but then he's gone back to the smaller extensions, and he actually said that this weekend they found that front feeling that he likes again, and he can really force the front and not just have to survive going into the corner.
So I would say Aprilia, obviously next, and Trackhouse, brand new bike on Raul's side. Well, for him, it looks like it was Savadori's, one of his, rolled out and given to Raul Fernandez, and obviously on the other side of the garage already 2024 machines for Miguel Oliveira. But next door, they are trying a few bits and pieces. Where one thing really interesting was the aero on the back of...
Well, you spotted it, so you run through.
Yeah, so it looks like last year's tailpiece, but has new, that all the other riders like.
Yeah.
Except Aleix, who we can have a look in the garage. It's just come open.
Yeah, let's see.
So, but it hasn't got the top like Aleix, but it's got the underneath. So it's a mix of last year's and this year's aero.
If we just bring the camera in, hopefully we'll be able to show you a little bit of what Simon's talking about. The tail of the bike at the rear there, there's kind of they might actually be putting it on. They are putting it on Aleix's bike right now.
So you can see the two different tail pieces there. You can't see the underneath, but you can see the top. And yeah, so there's a mixed kind of aero. They're obviously getting Aleix to check it as well, because he was the only rider to like the new aero. All the others didn't. So anyway, the most interesting thing I've seen, apart from Salvadori, different exhaust, which he ran on the weekend as well. I spotted over the race weekend a different ride height device, and it was on Salvadori's bike. He ran it. Aleix was asked if they have anything to help the starts, which he has been complaining about, and he said yes, they do, and they're going to test it today. He wouldn't say what it was, but it's that updated ride height device. I believe goes lower. The belly pan is modified a little bit to allow it to go lower. Otherwise, the belly pan's going to be on the ground, you know. Amazing, and he's been doing some practice starts with it. I spotted it on his bike because it's got a little lever like the Ducati, and you can see the reservoir, etc., in underneath for the ride height device is not the same. So Aprilia working on improving their starts.
And those starts he's been doing have been really good.
I
really
agree.
good.
Look good. So, but the clutch is obviously working well as well.
Yeah.
To pull that off.
So, last one then obviously is Honda. Big talking point from the weekend was that Stefan Bradl had a pretty much entirely new bike here, new chassis, new aero, all the works. And today we've seen a bit of a split in the garages. Those two bikes that Bradl had have actually gone to the LCR box. Taka in his debrief last night actually admitted that in the private test they had in Barcelona, the factory guys tried that bike. So now Taka and Johan Zarco are trying Bradl's bike, but also we see that the new chassis is on Marini's bike as well, but Joan Mir is just working with his standard 24s at the moment, isn't he?
From the outside, the chassis look like they're based on the same chassis with modifications, don't they? You know, they're obviously trying stiffness or chopping bit because they've got welds and cuts and pieces, you know. So I think they're experimenting with the chassis they've got. It's what it looks like to me anyway. But the aero is completely new. The disappointing thing for me is the engine sounds the same. I'm waiting for Honda to come.
You've been waiting for about 2 years.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. So yeah, lucky I wasn't holding my breath. But really, Joan Mir, he's obviously testing things that we can't see, but you see what I mean? The odd bit of aero, but yeah, it's not what I expected to be here. So it's obviously still working from drawing board to manufacture, but anyway, not as exciting as I expected.
No, well, fingers crossed for Honda that everything does slowly come together. Obviously, we know that they'll be bringing engine updates through the season. We do hope, whether that is a significant change or just an evolution of what they have. But that's going to do it here from the midday live at the Jerez test. It's been an absolute belter of a weekend. Almost 300,000 fans packed their way into Jerez over the weekend, and it really was a fantastic showcase for the sport on Sunday too. There's still a couple of hours of action here as well, so make sure you keep an eye on MotoGP social media and also on the website. We'll be bringing you all the updates as we go throughout the afternoon. But for now, thank you very much for joining me in Simon.